Yes! You can keep clapping.
I'm not one to say much. Actually, I am one to say much. My name's in Gemini. But yeah, so a little gist. Hello, thank you for coming out to today's event. So I'm so sorry. As you can tell, I'm not a performer. I'm out here like this. How does Beyonce do it? But yeah, we're very excited to announce, just or celebrate having poets, poems, and just lively words that will outlive most of us, if not all of us. But yeah, my name is Clara Reyes, and I'm the director of the Santa Clara County Youth Laureate program.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have been doing this for I've been a part of this for about 4 years, and it's been exciting. This program is meant to inspire, to teach, and to be enjoyed by audiences across the county, the country, and even the world, hopefully, one day, yes. So since 2020, Janice Lobos Apigao, in partnership with local youth poets, community members, and fellow artists, organized and partnered with one another to bring a program that elevates, centers, and promotes a space in which youth voice is heard, embraced, and encouraged. Since then, the program has grown to reach over 150 Santa Clara County teens and adolescents, and each year we accept applications from talented youth across the county. Have you ever thought to consider how big the county is, and have you considered Gilroy to be part of that county? Because I live there now, and I miss San Jose. But yeah, the laureate earns an educational scholarship. They just become a total poet badass. I look at Sage and I'm like, wow, you've grown so much since I met you as an artist, as a person, and I'm so happy to embrace that person that you're becoming. But yeah, today I'm just so excited. So that's me. Please, if you know youth in the county, encourage them to apply. I would love to continue growing this community. I'd love to see more youth here. So yeah, encourage. If you're under 18, apply. If you're under 18, invite your friends that are also under 18 to apply, participate. We have an anthology that we want to come out with this year, so participate. Just put yourself out there. I think as we're warming up our voices out there, someone asked, or like, does this get easier? And we're like, no, you just get braver.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
I ain't got much to say, but they do. So I'm gonna let it at that. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And not only do you get braver, but you realize that your poetry has an impact. As you get older, you realize that it could mean something to someone else because you remember other people's poetry meaning something to you. And I think that's a really key element to continuing on with poetry. The person who's going to be taking over as host of the rest of the show is our current Poet Laureate of Santa Clara County. Hailing from East San Jose by way of Guerrero, Mexico, Reyes quickly made a name for himself at the tender age of 16, exploding onto the local Bay Area stages and captivating his audiences with deep, moving spoken word performances. His achievements are thoroughly incredible. In addition to being the first ever undocumented poet to achieve Santa Clara County Poet Laureate status, Reyes was chosen to be a 2024 Creative Ambassador by the City of San Jose. The Advocate named him one of 13 LGBT Latinos changing the world.
Hey!
And Remezcla included him on their list of 10 up-and-coming Latinx poets you need to know. Folks, at 16 years old, 15 years old, I met a little kid down at Remezcla with me, my friend Trenchard, and David Perez, running some workshops along with other poets, and they're parents of some of those poets in the room. And it is with great pleasure that I get to introduce to you someone who's been doing this for decades now. Please put your hands together for our Yosimar Reyes.
Buenas noches, good evening. Okay, cute, we love a little bilingual crowd. My name is Yosimar Reyes. I'm super excited to be here. And yeah, to host and to share a little bit about the work that I'm writing about. Yeah, I started doing poetry when I was like 15, 16. I was a shy little immigrant from the east side, and I started writing a bunch of poems about like, I think I'm gay. I'm like, girl, you are. Look at me now. And so it's beautiful. It's been a beautiful journey to kind of document these things. And I look back. I have a little chapbook of when I was writing poems, and I'm like, oh my God, these are like, you know, it was intense because I used to have crush on boys. Like, why was I writing these poems? They're horrible. But you'll grow out of it. But all this to say, I think one of the biggest things that I discovered in poetry was that all those things that I was ashamed about, all those things that I was embarrassed about, all those things that I didn't have control over, my predicament, my situation, all of that shame didn't belong to me. And so by me being able to write it, now I know that all those things are actually my biggest assets. And the reason why I connect to the rest of the world is because I know what that feels like. And so with that being said, I'm really excited to share some of the work that I'm doing. It's in Spanglish, so if you're Duolingo, girl, put it to practice, okay? I love saying that because I go to some states and the girls are English only. I'm like, girl, this is California, I'll learn some Spanish. Also, one of the things that, I'm undocumented, if you can't tell, this is what we look like. We're so cute, they legit made it a crime. So I technically also use my poetry to trap citizens since I can't have an after baby. I'm over here trying to figure out a way because it's hard out here in immigration, okay? And you know, one of the toughest things right now about queers is that we don't believe in marriage, so it goes against everything. I'm like, girl, 3 dates in, I got no time to waste, let's do this. But the mirror's, no, listen to dog. Oh my God. I'm gonna read an excerpt from my show. I have a one-man show titled Prieto about growing up queer and undocumented in Eastside San Jose. So I'm gonna read an excerpt. It has a combination of poetry and whatnot. So I feel like one of the beautiful things about poets is that you can morph into other things, and your poems can become short stories, and your stories can become plays, and your plays can become novels, and it's just like non-stop. So I'm in this phase of like, oh, I have a show now, so here goes. Nosotros los prietos, the dark-skinned, the unwanted, the invisible, the ones standing in front of Home Depot parking lots, the workers, the labor, the shy, the mute, the don't make any noise, the just be grateful, the ignore, the street vendors, las tamaleras, the east side, las cucarachas, the deportable, los indios de la montaña, the poor, the venimos a trabajar. To us, I propose, we step into our light, we kiss our skin, we look at all these tall buildings, and we proudly say we helped build this shit. There would be no you without me.
Yeah.
Woo.
Woo!
Yeah. I'm dark, not like my primos and primas who are light. I'm what happens when water falls on dirt. Piel de lodo with indio black hair, big lips como mi abuela Minga la Prieta who I've never met. I'm las casitas de barro in Guerrero. It is the skin that tells people that I'm not from here, that I come from a place closer to the sun. It is the skin that makes people talk to me in broken Spanish. ¿Cómo es tu país? They ask. But there's no answer. I'm dark, not blanco or negro. I am the in-between, prieto, como maíz. Citizens, I know you're in here. And let me start off by saying that the only difference between you and me is your social security number and my ambition. I don't know where you've been for the past 10 years, but immigration is a hot topic. It is trendy. It is in. Honestly, being a citizen is kind of overrated. If you want free press, you should bring your social and be a rebel like me. Live your life as undocumented. I have no memory of my crossing, but for the sake of this show, I'm going to entertain you with something a little bit more dramatic, because really, who's going to check public records? You can't. We're undocumented. It's an August night in 1991. Mi abuela is the mastermind behind this whole plan. Mi abuelo, like always, is drunk. My mother crossed 2 years prior, so she finally saved enough money to send for us. She hired a coyote, and no, I don't mean like an actual coyote. I mean a human smuggler to get us across. And when I say human smuggler, I'm sure you're imagining a character out of Narcos or some badass drug cartel leader, but our smuggler was a señora. Straight up, this lady looked like she could be selling tamales on the corner of Story and King, so don't you typecast immigrants, because that sweet old lady selling you those delicious tamales could be a human smuggler. We're a group of I know, some of y'all like, oh my god. Now you're gonna be all scared. We're a group of 13, mostly men, except for my abuela, my brother, and me. Before crossing, mi abuelo had a going away party of sorts, so he's crossing the border hungover as fuck. And I know what you're thinking, oh my god, that's kind of irresponsible. But when you think about it, when you're about to leave your country, your land, your whole life behind, just to come to a place you know nothing about, what else there's there to do than drink the fuck up? Lord knows if I'm about to cross the desert like some Fear Factor challenge, well, I'm gonna need me a couple of shots. Once we crossed the desert is when things got interesting. Being that I'm 3 years old, mi abuela's main concern is me crying and giving away this whole Operation Wetback. They have to stick the 4 of us into the backseat of a car on like human Tetris type shit. These adults think that the best preventative measure to avoid me making any noise is to give me NyQuil. So that's the basic plot of my migration story. I didn't even want to be here. I was basically drugged and I woke up here. You would think that this would be enough dramatic details to convince conservatives my humanity, but no, they always want to see you bleed a little more. Cue in the Sarah McCollum animal cruelty commercial. This is Yosimar Reyes. Yosimar is a DACA beneficiary. Yosimar is a dreamer. When Yosimar crossed the border at 3 years old, he did not know he was breaking the law. He thought he was coming to Disneyland. Call your Congress people now. Call and save Yosimar's life. Truth be told, I feel like if I was a dog getting deported, conservatives would be outraged. I can see the headlines now. All dogs go to heaven, free them all, cages are cruel. If there were masses of dogs being deported on the daily, immigration detention centers would be abolished by now. Yeah. When reporters asked me, what was it like? Did you have to ride La Bestia to get here? Were the drug cartels right behind you? Please, tell us more about the violence. My scholarship response is always, it was a dark, gloomy morning. Typical in a Mexican morning, because we're such a developing country that the sun doesn't shine. My clairvoyant abuela heard a whisper in the wind, and it was La Virgen de Guadalupe. Mija, you are to migrate north. This child of yours is the Messiah, like Buffy, the vampire slayer. He is the chosen one. It would be best if you took him to the United States. This child is on a mission to denounce imperialism and eradicate white supremacy. Only he can stop this. So pack your things and go. So at the age of 3 years old, I packed my belongings in cardboard boxes tied by shoestrings, and I began my pilgrimage. We landed in San Jose, California on August 15, 1991, the home of tech and innovation. The irony being that this city welcomed ingenious tech bros and made them millionaires. Had this city welcomed us with the same enthusiasm, you would be looking at the next Mexican Steve Jobs. Because when you think about it, all these rideshare and Airbnb apps came from undocumented people's mechanisms of survival. We had to use our social networks in order to survive. When we arrived, we didn't know anything about this place. It's not like immigrants leave Yelp reviews on the places that are the least xenophobic. There's another great tech idea. My Yelp review. Soy undocumentado viviendo en Arizona. Cuando recién llegué, no sabía qué chingados estaba pasando. A pesar de un clima de la chingada, prepárense paisanos porque estos cabrones son bien racistas. Les doy 2 estrellas, Tomás, porque no soy culero. When we arrived in 1991, Governor Pete Wilson was our worst enemy. I was really trying to avoid giving you a history lesson, but this is important. Late into 1994, he would launch Prop 187, which basically became the blueprint for all these anti-immigrant laws like SB 1070 in Arizona and all across the United States. Being undocumented in the US fucking sucks. The US is like that house party that sucked way before you got here, but since you arrived, they blame you for the bad music, and you're just standing there like, bitches, I brought tequila. You get blamed for everything. When we arrived, we were the only Mexicans on the block, so you can imagine a group of dark Mexicans, Prietos de la Montaña de Guerrero, arriving to the east side. We are from the south. Guerrero is one of 3 indigenous states in Mexico, which of course means we're one of the poorest because guess what? Racism and colorism run rampant across nations and states. For those Mexicans from the north, it's a hard pill to swallow, but you benefit from European settlement. There, I said it. I don't care what your Ancestry.com says. It's more likely that you're a direct descendant of Hernán Cortés de Montezuma. When we arrived, everyone was new to us. The tall buildings, the concrete streets, the city lights, the noise, the people that spoke to us in English. Our block was mostly Samoans and black folks, and in comparison to us, they seemed to have this whole living in America thing down. They lounged on their front porches, blasting music, playing dice. We locked ourselves in the 2-bedroom apartment, afraid of the world outside. The original plan was for my abuelos to come and cross me and my brother to bring us to my mom, and for them to return home, but when we arrived, they decided to stay. My prima Selene and Guerrero came before us, and being that they were slightly older than us, they quickly got a grasp on this new place. They were the first ones to learn English, so I picked up all my chola antics from them. You would think they would have learned from the 12 volumes of Inglés sin Barreras my tia was scamming to buying, but no, they learned everything they needed to know between watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reruns and listening to 194.9, the Bay Area's party station. Selene and Guerrero, like every other chola girls in the 90s, would sit by the radio and pen down their favorite songs. They would spend hours trying to decipher the lyrics. Thanks to my primas, my upbringing was pretty Americanized. By the time I entered elementary school, I already spoke English and I had a fascination with 90s R&B. Legit, I knew I was gay because of Moesha and Laura Winslow on Family Matters. You remember Stefan? He was so fine. But this is my play, and it's cute. We're touring, we're going different places. So. We're bringing San Jose to all these cities. We're in Chicago, we're going to Arizona. Next week I'm going to be in Monterey Bay, so it's been pretty cute. And I'm like, but all this to say, and then one of the amazing things that I think that was very important in my marketing, I was like, oh, I want cucarachas all over my marketing because I grew up in the hood, girl. We grew up stomping on roaches. And so I think for me, all those things, I look at that. And then in my prop set, we have a shopping cart filled with recyclables because my grandma used to recycle glass bottles. And I think for me, all those motifs and all those things, and I look at my play, and I look at all these things and how embarrassed I was of inviting my friends over, how embarrassed I was to showcase the poverty that we came from, how embarrassed I was that we were undocumented, how embarrassed I was that I was queer. And here I am now, I'm an elder. As a queer elder, I know the other day my little queer's like, thank you for paving the way. First of all, girl, we're still dancing in the same club, so stop it. Stop it. But all this to say that it feels beautiful. Just know that all those things que yo le tenía vergüenza, now it's the voice of my work. So if anything, I would say those things that you're very scared of, go in and own it. Because once you own it, nobody can make you be ashamed of it. So. Okay, we're about to have a cute show tonight. It's going to be a hot mess. I like to make jokes because honestly, this country is too serious for me. I don't know what I'm doing here. But we're going to make jokes. We're here to have fun. We're here to celebrate. We're celebrating poetry. We're celebrating the complexities of life. The election is coming. And honestly, as an undocumented person, I should be telling you, like, go vote because I don't have a voice. No, girl, vote because your country's a hot mess. So, with that being said, we're going to get into it. We have our first poet. Helen Gu is coming up, so I need you to make a bunch of noise to cheer them up. I know they're kind of scared, they're kind of nervous. I was too. I still get nervous too. But we're here to support, and hopefully, just like me, when I was started at 16, they begin their trajectory and then become these voices representing for our city. So Helen, their bio reads, I'm a young poet living in the Bay Area and have been writing poetry since I was 8 years old. To me, poetry is a channel from my heart to the world and a powerful form of peaceful social advocacy. It is this type of writing that comes most naturally to me. Over the years, creative writing has taught me to come to terms with my own sensibility and to accept my seemingly extravagant feelings as a gift to use to the world. So please clap it up for Helen.
have a Siderian as Last Supper. After today, I'll swallow violation like drugstore medicine or bits of my 16th birthday cake, leaving behind only smoke tendrils biting my tongue into silence. Between ceiling fans and police station, I shroud myself with fabric cutters, waiting for a chimera or a casualty. Tonight, I cannot look the girl in her mirrored eyes. I cover up her face with a fingerprint. She lifts up the strap of my sundress, delicate, afraid of tearing something already torn. A longing for a dead daughter enshrined by a prophet who was executed. I hunger for sutured arteries to feed a wound that cannot sew itself shut, to quiet blood-stained screams floating faceless in the doorway, to savor the loss, feast the famine until the body ravishes to the bone, stripped flesh from thigh like a scalpel, gloved hands feigning touch. I, iridescent girl, obstructed by transparency. I dress myself in shower curtains, my knuckles harden into coral reefs. Unwiped walls frost over with grime, the dirty soap slips away. I, skinless, scarlet ibis, red and raw, I claw for pools under epidermis. Someday I will drop dead in line, feathering, and wait for judgment. There are a million reasons why a girl refuses to stay in her body. She feels bloated, she was certain she was loved. To be here, she is nothing more than when she is bodiless. To die here is to surrender. In the supermarket or at the dining table, my skin is tattooed with guilty verdict draped over itself. I can only swallow so much today because my framework is nameless. Today, I reflect on every surface. I am shop window, windshield, puddle after a storm. I am teaspoon, beer bottle, oven door, computer screen. I, nest of fractals, reflecting warped entity, never a singularity. Tonight I step on the scale and pretend I'm 5 or 7 or 10 pounds lighter, try to squeeze my body in every negative space so as to not have to question my womanhood. As girl, wrists like bird legs, light enough to splinter. As girl, spilling over denim waistband, retching over toilet seat. I run 5 miles outside and trip over my shoelace. The breath of the pavement festers on my tongue. Salted gravel between my teeth, the flavor of girlish trepidation. The lights are off when I come home again. Shadows scaffolding my pathway, blocking away the unsatisfactory. The darkness spares me from seeing the flesh covering my limbs. Unpleasant overcoat, viscous with sweat. My face reflecting off the corner windows, only a shadow, peering. Outside, the bulging gibbous waits to wane into vacancy. I, too, have waited to wane, only for 30 seasons instead of days. Tonight, I will chew into xylem and pretend I like the taste, that I can feel the nutrients dissolving down the body and into my throat. And I yearn for yearning, the yellow-throated seasons that spit in passing, my lifeline trickling away for a button or a zipper, and another inch of acuity between the fabric and my body. Aurora. Underneath the fluorescent lights, your feet are face down on the linoleum tiles, soles upturned. As my footsteps muddy the floor, yours muddy the air. We both know that they'll never touch. You are smaller than a wildflower shielding pollen from midnight breeze, crouching over the bathroom floor, epidermis folding over tile. I want to pull you back into the mirror of my grasp, but instead I hold you away from the water. Your reflection bends in the curve, concave spooning. I know you. Beads scooping around your neck, iridescent scratched up on the inside. How much you want to plunge down drain pipes you cannot fit inside and pull me in with you too. your ponytail spilling ink through my fingers as I pull on the strands, dark enough to stain my palms. You are small, still too small to love. Instead, we love the vertebrae waxing on our backs, the rice crackers we split at the seams, the broken zippers, teeth sinking into flesh. Our hair, so brittle that it snaps at the spine. Still, even if we retch out ballads like two aching songbirds, even if we are kept in two separate cages, the sky is always the white ceiling flickering with trepidation. You'll always spit remnants of prayer until your mouth swells shut. It still hurts, no matter how much faith I try to starve away. Our bones are caskets and you kneel as if in prayer. A half-empty stomach and a half-filled toilet. The sour wafts into my throat. Helen. Of a body that swallows 1,000 ships. Sebaceous, submerging the skeleton. These rolls like mire, how they've aged in our oiled palms. How my mother forgets the etching of fingers curled around soft palate. The red soldiers marching out of hanged esophagus. Retribution for a wasted existence. Yes, I ate 3 meals today, but lately the Trojan horse swells under the wood. This bodycon dress, once water, now deluge, flooding this carnage of flesh. Helen, you know better than to twist the breath and sinus until pain is hungering heartache between your teeth. This poem where we've tumbled between crevice, dead hair tangled with the wreckage. You, slack-jawed artist, carving away layers of your radiostatic body, tell me this. Your cheeks hollowing like a toilet flush, constantly washing itself clean. The spare change dripping red down my lips will never be enough to pay for our sins. Tomorrow I will swallow sabotage and chew each bite down to the still breathing ribs. Tomorrow I am an execution,